The LMC casts a wide net over the Sound Shore to bring you local event info, profiles, and conversations. Recorded in the heart of the village in Mamaroneck Cinemas at the studio on the Avenue, LMC Media brings you the LMC Cast Community Profiles.
Welcome to LMC Cast Community Profile. This is Mike Reynolds. I'm a longtime Mamaroneck resident and a fan of the New York Yankees. Today we're going to be speaking with Ken Samelson. He's a longtime Larchmont resident and a New York Mets fan. Ken is also a book editor and an author, including his latest entry, More Amazing Mets Trivia. Welcome, Ken.
Great to be here, Mike.
Thanks. Okay. Ken has been in the sports and publishing industry going back, dare I say, to 1980. He's co-authored a number of books, including More Amazing Mets Trivia, its predecessor, Amazing Mets Trivia, Incredible Baseball Stories, and the Baseball Maniacs Almanac. Among many, many others, he's edited the Macmillan Baseball Encyclopedia, the Elias Baseball Analyst, the great all-time baseball record book. Ken, are you a baseball maniac?
You could definitely say that. I do love all sports, but baseball is certainly my favorite. It always has been.
Okay. I mentioned a bunch of baseball books, but you've also done a lot of work around other sports. Can you give us a little update?
Right, yeah. I've worked on sports books of all types, both individual, team sports, biographies, instructionals. For example, in the last year, I worked on a book with Johnny Unitas' son.
Oh, really? Okay.
Unitas to Unitas. And a book by John Nagowski, who's actually the father of a former major leaguer who tormented the Mets a few seasons ago, John Nagowski Jr., and he wrote a terrific book called Diamond Duels last year.
Nice.
So, yeah, I've certainly worked on
keeping
a
you
wide
busy,
variety. Huh? Busy's good, I always say.
All right. Before we dive deeper into the hows, whats, and whys of More Amazing Mets Trivia, I wanted to ask this very important question, Ken. So, you grew up in the Bronx. Your dad's a Yankee fan. Your mom rooted for the New York Giants. How did you turn to the orange and blue? And I'm not talking Knicks here.
Okay, yeah. It was certainly a product of the times. The 1969 Mets captured my heart.
Okay.
I was never really a big sports fan before that. I think I've mostly followed auto racing.
Really?
As a little kid, I love cars.
Interesting. Okay.
But 1969, I think the whole city got caught up in it. And at the time, the Yankees were in a down cycle.
No doubt.
But interestingly enough, by following the Mets, I wanted to follow everything about baseball. So when the Mets weren't on, I watched the Yankees. Being in the Bronx, I went to a lot of games at Yankee Stadium.
Sure.
I loved the original ballpark. And after a few years, I just realized it was too tough to do both. But I still, even to this day, I still follow the Yankees. I was at the game when Chris Chambliss hit the home run in 1976. I was in the right field bleachers. The ball landed right below me. Yeah,
there you go.
I was at Jim Abbott's no-hitter.
Man,
so,
good deal.
Yeah,
good deal.
But still, let's go.
But Flushing's in the heart, right?
Always will be.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. In addition to his work in publishing, Ken has also done some time with radio, including WFAN. Tell us about that.
Right. When the Mets started right after they won the World Series in 1986, they started a pre- and post-game show called Mets Extra, first on WHN, which transitioned to WFAN later that year, hosted by Howie Rose. And I was working at Sports Phone at the time, and one of the things I did
for those of you who don't know, Google Sports Phone. Back in the day, there weren't scores on your phone, on your TV, all the time. You had to call in to find out if you weren't watching the game, who was winning the other games.
Right,
anyway.
Yeah. Sports Phone was a real trip. One of the things I did was we compiled audio clips of interviews from those days' games, and we serviced different New York radio stations, and one of them was WHN, so I had to go out there every night and deliver the tape. And when I found out they were doing this pre- and post-game show, I left a note there for Howie Rose, who was the sports director, saying, "Hey, if you need any help, I'm a Mets fan, and I'd love to do it." And he contacted me. He said they had a full-time associate producer who was Kenny Albert, by the way.
Really? Okay.
But Kenny was still in college, but he still had a crazy schedule as a statistician. So there was still plenty of work available. So I was Kenny's backup, and I came in. I worked several games, and I got to say, working with Howie was a great experience. He's exactly like he is listening to him on radio.
Right.
Just a great person. I learned a lot working with him, and I can also add how he was nice enough to give me a nice blurb on the back of the book.
Nice.
And so that was a real fun experience. I did it from '87 until 1990.
Nice. So yeah, it must have been real cool working for your favorite team, so to speak. And your fandom, does your wife, and I know your kids do, but does your wife share your love of the Mets?
Yeah, they I basically gave them no choice.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
And they're all good. Yeah, Liz was a gem to put up with with all that, and it paid off. She was sitting next to me. We saw the ball go through Bill Buckner's legs in 1986 from the left field stands.
Wow.
So that's a bond that can never be broken. Our kids, we took them to games all the time, especially on the Sundays when they could run around the bases. Spencer wore a Met cap all through elementary school. He wore a Mets cap every day. And Lena, she wanted to do everything Spencer did. So Spencer started playing Little League. She played baseball until the 6th grade.
Nice.
And now Spencer played baseball through high school and college. He still plays adult league on the weekends. And Lena, she transitioned to softball. She played as far as varsity at the high school, and now she's working for the Mets as the manager of partnership.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Dad's very proud about that.
Oh,
huh?
it's so great. I'm so proud of her, and
Very
grateful for the tickets. Yeah.
There you go.
No,
All
she's
right.
doing great.
All right. Let's get a little closer to talking about the book. More amazing Mets trivia. Ken, where could we buy it?
Okay, you can buy it at any of the major bookstores or online, Amazon, B&N. If your bookstore doesn't have it, you can ask for it. It's published by Lions Press.
Okay. All right. Forgive me. I'm going to scorecard a bit here. The book covers 19 chapters going back through the decades of the team, back to 62 when the Amazing started. It also delves into league leaders, Mets All-Stars, postseason, awards and honors, pitching gems, rookies, uniforms, trades and free agents, Mets and Yankees, team record holders, and my favorite, Metscellaneous. 25 episodes per 25 questions per chapter, so that's 475. That giving Mets fans a lot to chew on here.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of categories. We actually originally we played around with having fewer questions and more chapters.
Okay.
But figured, you know what, we'd rather have 19 strong chapters than to kind of, dilute it. And I think we have 19 very strong chapters in there.
So, again, you've co-authored 4 books. You've also edited many, many, many. What's the difference in mindset from going to being an editor versus the writer?
Right. Well, the writer, produces, puts the book together. The editor actually turns it into a book.
Okay.
And gets it published. This project was actually unique because I ended up editing a lot of the book because the editor that had acquired the book for Lions Press, unfortunately, got sick and passed away. And I signed a contract to replace him and take on his workload, which included my
your
book.
roster was there for your
so
book.
it was there. So I got to do things like I was involved in coming up with the idea for the cover and things like that. Something an author usually has, some say in.
Right, but not that much.
But not that much. This one I actually
Okay.
had. So it was an interesting experience. Plus the fact that we turned the book in during the season, and then the Mets went on an unbelievable run. And
this is last season.
This is
24.
last season in 24. we were actually still putting in new questions as the playoffs progressed. The book was already in production, and we actually said, okay, take out this question 25 and replace it with this question 25. So the book was as up to date right through the Mets, as current as it could be.
Cool.
And Lions Press was great about it.
All right. This you did, I guess, in 2003. You did the initial Amazing Mets trivia. You worked with Ross Adele on that. What is it still around, or can I get it? Or
I know as far as I know, last year I still saw it on bookshelves. I was still getting royalty checks for it.
Very good. There you go.
As recently as a couple of years ago. So it's had a good life. It was a great book. I loved working with Ross. We dedicated the book to Ross, who unfortunately passed away in 2006. We had been talking about a new edition of the book even back then.
Right. Okay.
And it was unfortunate. He was only 50 when he died, but he was a real Mets fanatic. He used to write everything by hand. He used to give notes that the Mets would publish in their media guide. He was great to work with. I still miss him very much, and we dedicated this edition to him.
So this book now, you work with David Russell. Give us a little bio about David.
Okay, David's a good friend. He's definitely, you always hear the term a walking sports encyclopedia.
That's him.
David really is.
Okay.
He works as an overnight digital editor for the New York Post, and he's written several books, including a year-by-year history of the Mets. He worked on Rod Gasper, the 1969 Mets, wrote an autobiography. Dave wrote it with him. And yeah, Dave's fantastic. He actually, he jumped in originally. I was going to do the book with my son Spencer. Spencer's schedule just got so busy he couldn't do it. Dave stepped in, and I can't say enough about what a terrific, how great he was to work with, and the great questions that he came up with.
So how long did it take you guys to put this together in a collaboration?
Yeah, well, I signed a contract in 22. The book was supposed to come out in 24. It got postponed for a year.
Okay.
Because number one, the original editor, as I mentioned, he passed, and as it turned out, they had to push a book from 23, another Mets book from 23 into 24. So I told them, I said, it doesn't make sense to have two Mets books out. So it actually gave us an extra year
to work,
which was great.
Okay.
Although Dave turned in his stuff right away. It was in great stuff. It took me a lot longer to go through stuff, but yeah, it was a really good experience, and I think it came together really well.
Can you give us a general sense for your workflow? Was it a question of, were there certain questions you felt you needed to ask, others that you said, well, maybe we should check into this area?
Yeah, we had discussions. Most of them were just based around the different categories, especially when it came to the decades. I took the earlier decades because I actually lived through them.
Right, sure.
Right. Okay. Dave's in his early 30s, but even though he knows the Mets history, and he could write great questions about he wrote a book with the 1969 Mets. I actually watched these games and followed the team. Okay. So I think there was a good back and forth. A good back and forth, and even into last year as the playoffs were going on. Oh, we need a question about this. We need and then it became, okay, what do we take out? So Dave was a very, very good I've we basically saw eye to eye on just about everything.
You guys are happy with the way it's turned out, and I've leafed through it a little bit. It's a cool book. There's as I mentioned, there's 25 questions, 19 categories, 475 in all, and it's not just like, okay, Tom Seaver won his 25th game on what date. It gives you a variety. It gives you A, B, C, and D answers. So again, you can make an educated guess, and then it gives you some context for what it is. And to that end, I thought we would dive into the book a little bit, and maybe Ken can read us a couple of questions and see if yours truly can get it right.
Okay, sure, Mike. Okay, let's see. Okay, the first question is from the 1980 section,
Okay.
and it's actually the very first question, which is, which Mets player appeared in the most games during the 1980s? Was it A, Mookie Wilson, B, Howard Johnson, C, Keith Hernandez, or D, Darryl Strawberry?
All right. I'm going to go Darryl.
Okay, the answer, if you'd like to read it, it's on page 42.
Okay.
It's one.
And I got it wrong. So it's Mookie. And what Ken and David put together here is the popular outfielder appeared in 1,116 games in the Mets uni, just ahead of Darryl by 7 games. Hey, I knew I
Yeah,
was
you're close. That was a solid guess.
Okay. So a second-round pick in the 77 draft. Wilson joined the Mets late in 1980 season. He's a key member of the 86 World Championship team, which Ken has already mentioned, the famous Bill Buckner through the legs ball. Mookie ranks in the franchise's top 10 in several offensive categories, including stolen bases, triples, at-bats, runs, scored, and hits. Wilson was traded to the Blue Jays in July of 89 and finished his major league career north of the border in 91. So that's... I'm going to take partial credit because
Yeah, that's definitely, yeah,
Okay.
you were in the ballpark.
Okay,
yes.
There you go. That works for me.
Okay, let's move on. Here's a question from the All-Stars section.
Okay.
It's question 23, and it is, Matt Harvey started the first All-Star game played at Citi Field in 2013. Who was the Dark Knights' mound opponent on that occasion? Was it A, Max Scherzer, B, Felix Hernandez, C, Justin Verlander, or D, Yu Darvish?
I'm sorry, what year was that, Ken?
2013.
All right. I'm going to go with Max Scherzer.
Okay, and the answer is on page 118, 23A.
Okay. And so I got that one wrong too, right?
No.
No? And it is, is it Scherzer?
Yes.
All right. There we go.
23A.
All right. So, this is what we have. While Matt Harvey started Citi Field, received most of the attention, Jim Leyland tabbed his Detroit's ace, Max Scherzer, who just pitched the other day against the Yankees, who raced out to a 13-0 record in 2013 to start for the American League. He was the first pitcher to start at that level since Roger Clemens was 14-0 for the 86 Red Sox, who also have their ties to the Mets. The Detroit star pitcher did a 1-2-3 inning, setting down Brandon Phillips, Carlos Beltran, and Joey Votto in the AL's 3-0 win. Scherzer would finish the season 21-3, including a win over Harvey and the Mets at Citi Field in late August. He was rewarded with the first of his 3 Cy Young awards. All right. I like that. I got it right.
All right. Okay. Now here's one from the postseason section.
Okay.
It's one maybe you'll remember. Which Met hit a 3-run homer in the 9th inning off Mariano Rivera in Game 2 of the 2000 World Series?
No. This one is badly in the mind. I think the guy.
Okay, the guesses are A, Jay Payton, B, Kurt Abbott, C, Bubba Trammell, or D, Todd Pratt.
I'd like to say Bubba Trammell because I like the name, but I'm going to say it's Payton.
Okay, and the correct answer is on page 128,
All
question 18.
All right, and I got that one right too. So
All right.
two for 3. I'll be ready to play tomorrow. Anyway, it says Jay Payton went the other way with the Rivera pitch, depositing a 3-run blast in the right field seats to cut the Yankees' lead to 6-5. Homering off Rivera in the postseason was no small feat. It was the second and final homer the Hall of Fame closer yielded in his postseason career that spanned 141 innings and 96 appearances over 16 seasons. So, more power to Jay Payton. More power to Jay Payton.
Yeah, I always like Jay Payton.
Okay. So, as I said, we're getting to the end here. Ken, were there a couple of questions as you did the research that you said, wow, I didn't know much about or didn't know anything all? Some couple of questions that come to mind that way?
Actually, the questions were mostly the ones that David came up with.
Okay.
Because David, man, he likes stuff that's a little off and
Okay.
you know, not typical. So wow. But as far as my own questions, there was one I think in the 1970 section where I looked up. It was which Met had the most hits during the 1970s. The answer was Felix Millan.
Really? Okay.
And that was kind of surprising because he had only been with them for parts of 5
Yeah,
seasons,
right.
but he had a couple of
Big years.
really big years.
Joe Torre is the manager, right?
But yeah,
Right.
yeah. And he came up first when he came up in 73. They traded for him. The team went to the World Series under Yogi,
Okay.
and he was starting second baseman, and he was with them until 77 when jeez, I sound like Ralph Kiner. Ed Ott of the Pirates took him out at second base on a slide.
Okay.
And ended his major league career.
Really? Okay.
It was kind of a Chase Utley type
Wow.
slide.
Okay. All right. Ken, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to take the championship years, you already talked about 69 and 86 out of the equation. A couple of all-time memories for the Mets outside of those two seasons?
Well, one of the biggest ones was when the Mets traded for Willie Mays
Okay.
in 72. And then in his very first game, he had a game-winning home run.
Nice. Yeah.
Not only a game-winning home run, it was against the Giants.
There,
his
wow.
old
There
team.
you go. That's
And,
poetic.
Yeah, that was a big thrill to have him in a Met uniform. And I'm also going to say, and last year's OMG run is something that really came out of nowhere. It was unexpected.
Right.
It was so much fun to go through, and it's something that's going to be hard to top. But that
Dan-
was a really fun run.
Damn those Dodgers.
Yeah, oh, damn those Dodgers.
Okay.
As you know well.
Yes.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. Both teams are in a rough patch now, but any chance that the Mets and Yankees come together for a second Subway Series this fall?
Boy, it would be great if they did. If we had done this a couple of weeks ago, we
Right,
could have
exactly.
really felt
Absolutely.
confident about
Absolutely.
it. But I always that's one of the things that it's very easy to really get down on your team. I always try to stay optimistic, and yeah, so I'm going to say yeah, it would be great.
All right.
And I'd love to see it.
From your mouth to the
Yeah.
baseball god's ears. So.
There you go.
All right. All right. This almost concludes this episode of LMC Cast Community Profile. I want to thank our guest, Ken Samelson, for talking about and sharing his fandom for baseball and the Mets and his new book. Appreciate you being here, Ken.
Oh, it was great to chat with you, Mike.
All righty. Before we go, can you tell our listeners and viewers one more time how they can buy more amazing Mets trivia?
Sure. It's published by Lions Press. It's available at most bookstores. If they don't have it, they can order it for you. And if you'd rather order it online, you can get it through Amazon, BNN.com, or other online retailers.
Okay. All right. As you can tell, it's a fun book. There's a lot in it. It's one that you might want to pack when you go into the beach and you're sitting there and doing a little baseball trivia surfing, if you will. Also might take up nice space on your coffee table when you're listening to the ball game on SNY and the guys talk about, well, a current player or they reference a bygone decade, might pique your interest, and then you could follow up and turn to the pages of this book. And again, it's something for guys that, who've been following baseball since they were kids and continue to love the game. I mean, it'll be a great addition to your library. So anyway, I did okay with the answers, but we're going to give someone else a chance to test their baseball knowledge. Ken's going to throw out a couple of questions, going to have listeners weigh in, and we're joined by who? Al? And tell us, Al, where are you and who's your team?
Hey, first time, long time, Al here on LMC Cast, big fan of the program. I'm an automation engineer for a consulting group that deals with pharmaceutical companies in Boston, Massachusetts. But I have a seasoned veteran of Larchmont Marinick Little League, played 13 to 14 different years, I'd say. So I'm well versed in the sound baseball community and everything like that. I know we're talking Mets, but I am a fan of the Crosstown Yankees, which, as you could tell in Boston, probably makes for a very fun conversation all the time. But I'm excited to be here and listen to some trivia questions and read some of the amazing Mets trivia. So thanks for having me.
All right, Ken, what are you gonna stick to Al here?
Okay, Al. This is from our rookie section, and I'm going to ask you, which team did Jacob deGrom make his major league debut against? Was it A, the Philadelphia Phillies, B, the Texas Rangers, C, New York Yankees, or D, Pittsburgh Pirates?
Wow, that's a good question. I'm going to, the obvious answer I feel like would be the Phillies. They play them the most. So I think I'm going to go with the Phillies, but my second guess would be Pirates. I wouldn't guess American League team.
All right, Ken, how do you do?
Okay. No, it was actually, he made his debut against the Yankees.
Oh, man, I should have known that.
Wow.
Right.
All right. All right. We're giving you a chance for redemption here, Al. Ken, what do you
Please,
got?
I need it.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to ask you, this is from the team record holders, which Met has the highest single season batting average? Is it A, Jeff McNeil, B, Cleon Jones, C, John Olerud, or D, Jose Reyes?
Silver Slugger, Jose Reyes, 2006.
Okay. Nope. The correct answer is C, John Olerud.
Wow.
Yeah, John Olerud hit 354 in 1998, which surpassed Cleon Jones' mark of 340. But Reyes did win a batting title.
All right, so
right.
we're taking the ball was put in play there.
Right.
So that's good. That's good. All right, I'm going to give him one last chance. Ken, let's go from the combination Mets and Yankees section, if you could.
Okay. Here's one. Which Met and Yankee was also the Yankees' first base coach in the 2000 World Series? Was it Chris Chambliss, Tony Fernandez, Lee Mazzilli, or Willie Randolph?
Oh, man. When you were reading the question, I was going Willie Randolph. That's what I was thinking. But Lee Mazzilli is throwing me for a little bit of a loop here. I'm going to go Willie Randolph. Stick with my guns.
Should have stuck
I'm
with
0 for 3?
You're 0 for 3, right? It was Mazzilli.
No. It was Maz.
All right. So this is indicative of, again, what you think you know, might know, and then you do know. So, Al, thanks for calling in. We appreciate it, and we'll do better next time.
Yeah, sorry for the 3 strikeout performance, but good luck, Ken. It's great being on here.
All right.
Thanks, Al.
Thanks, Al.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
This is Mike Reynolds. We'll catch up soon, either at Citi Field or on the next installment of LMC Cast Community Profile. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the LMC Cast Community Profiles, produced at LMC Media's studio on the Avenue. Visit lmcmedia.org to book your time in this state-of-the-art convenient location, walkable from the Metro North train station on Mamaroneck Avenue. You can also support this nonprofit media center at lmcmedia.org/donate.